We wanted to meet just to let everybody know what has occurred today. We had scheduled through our sheriff's office and through their assistants and Sergeant Leake, and we came up with, they came up with a plan, and with the assistance of Cherokee County and Holly Springs, they brought their drug dogs up. We had a total of 4 dogs altogether. 2 from Cherokee, 1 from Holly Springs, and our own drug dog that's stationed at the high school. And we went to a lockdown for the opportunity to search the entire campus. In doing so, there was one incident that there was one car in the parking lot that one of the dogs did hit upon, and I'll let Captain Stansel tell us about the outcome of that.
Yeah, we kind of headed up with the Zell Miller Mountain Parkway Drug Task Force, assisted by leading and organizing the search, along with Jasper Police Department detectives that assisted the SROs from the schools and with the rest of the Sheriff's Office and our Criminal Investigations Division. During the search throughout the entire facility, which kept the school on a soft lockdown for about 2 hours, close to 8:30 this morning that it went on, and was lifted about 2 hours later, and that's with 4 dogs that were searching the entire school. When I say the entire school, the students themselves were not searched. The students themselves would walk out of the classrooms, the dogs would check the classroom, and then they would allow the students back in. Did have a couple of alerts in the school itself, but nothing was materialized in terms of anything being found. They just alerted to the odor of a narcotic or a drug or something previous to. When they did an alert on one car in the parking lot, it turned out to be one of the students that had an alert from inside the school on the odor as well. The car and the student, both his bag and car, had an alert. Through a subsequent search, a small amount of marijuana was found in the vehicle, along with a knife, a fairly decent sized knife. I don't want to call it a large. It wasn't a sword or anything, but was found that we're both in violation of school policy. He was subsequently arrested by the drug task force. They did take charges on him. He is 18 years of age. He's a senior, so because of his age, his name is actually Coley, C-O-L-E-Y, Young. Coley was charged with a misdemeanor possession of marijuana charge, and I believe they were looking at whether or not the weapons charge, they were going to check on that before making a determination on the completion of that investigation. Was cooperative, never really gave any resistance or anything, was very cooperative and worked with everyone. I think in working closely with Dr. Wilson and with Mr. Wallace at the school, and the unified stance is that this is something that just can't be tolerated. It's something that's got to be stopped. It's something that's got to be removed from the schools, and even if it is a small amount that's found during these searches, that small amount sends a message and continues to try to get that out of the environment in case it is more prevalent. I think that the crew that works in the school all the time, all of the SROs have done an outstanding job with trying to continue to stay vigilant on that. But at the same time, students get creative, and every time they adjust, we have to adjust too. So our goal is to stay on top of that. But outside of that one particular incident, one common area within the school had an alert, but there was once again, there was nothing that was found, but a dog did alert to an area within a bathroom, and they searched thoroughly where that was, and whether it was something that could have been flushed or if it was just residue from someone's hands. I mean, there's a million different things it could have been, but that was checked out thoroughly as well. So for that many students and the cooperation of everybody, all the faculty did an outstanding job working through a stressful time, because they're not told why the lockdown's going on. We did try to stay on top of it this time due to the incident in the country yesterday in Las Vegas. We knew that parents would be on high alert if they heard the term lockdown in school at the same time, so we wanted to immediately get the information out, and so through the Sheriff's Office social media and through providing local news sources with the information as to why the school was going on lockdown. We waited until the search began and then immediately sent that out just as soon as tried to coincide those very well so that we could kind of reduce any panic or any fear that might have been there.
The thing I'd like to say is that we take very serious the safety and security of all our students. We do not have the drug problem that a number of schools have, especially south of us. But having one instance of one student with a drug is a drug problem, and we're going to do everything we can to prevent that. We'll continue with these types of searches, randomly selected. Of course, we have our own drug dog there at the high school that is on duty there almost every day. One of the things, though, that we are looking at adding to help with the security of the high school is we're looking at putting a guard with a guard shack there. And in doing so, we have too many, it's too open of a campus. We have people coming and going onto that campus throughout the day that does not need to be there. And we also have some students that we found out that may cut a class, leave, and come back, and they don't need to be leaving the campus. I am very proud that over the last year or so, we've really not found any large supply of drugs on the campus. We have had some students throughout the last year or so arrested, but it was arrested for behavior off of campus. But there again, I think that has to do with the assistance of our sheriff's office, our SROs, and how everybody is diligent about making sure that we do not have a drug problem at the high school. So with that, we do have a commitment that we will continue to do whatever is necessary to keep our students safe. And we certainly do appreciate the assistance today. I hate that the incident did occur with the one student, but and then that was right at the very end of the search too. So, but it was almost a perfect day. But there again, we want this student and every other student to know that if they're going to bring drugs on campus or use drugs on campus, that the consequences are they are going to go to jail. I want to thank all of you and all the support.
I have a question though. So what the dogs, besides marijuana, can they pick up? Since opioids and everything's such a problem, what are they able to pick up?
They're able to pick up on opioids. They're trained in, and each dog is trained in a different, or certified in a different amount, so I don't want to speak on a broad spectrum. However, each is trained in the amphetamine family of drugs. They're also trained in the opioid family of drugs, and then the cocaine and marijuana families. And so each time something new is introduced, whether it's synthetic or not, they're trying to introduce that into their training as well, so that the same alerts will go off when they're present. So I hate to say each one was trained in all of those, but I do know that the vast majority of the dogs used are. So the guys, it's a good network. They all train together. I know that Deputy Bufford carries Arrows, our K9 from Pickens Sheriff's Office, to train with some of the Cherokee County agencies and some of the other agencies that meet as well. Originally, the intent was to broaden that out just a little bit more and have a few more dogs to reduce the amount of time for the lockdown. Unfortunately, today is a funeral in Polk County for a detective that was killed in the line of duty last week, and some of those units that were going to be coming were also participating through their agencies in going over, so they were not able to come, which gave us plenty, but we were hoping to continue to show the reduced amount of time and not affect educational time beyond anything that it had to. I think it extended that first period just by a few extra minutes, and for some students that was a great news, and for others they might have wished they could have moved on quicker.
Any other questions?
I'm curious, like with the other Chris, were you seeing things on campus that indicated you might have had a problem?
Well, we're constantly looking for issues, and that's kind of the purpose of the school resource officer program, is develop those relationships with the kids where they can feel comfortable to come to us and kind of express some concerns that they may have with not necessarily their peers but their cultural environment. And we take that information, we work with the administration, we work with other units, and we literally pull our resources together to combat those issues. We did this not necessarily because we had a major concern of pandemic drug use, but it's always good to use these kind of operations as an opportunity to kind of, one, it's a good check for the campus and where we're at, and two, it also sends a very clear message as to where we continue to stand with, zero tolerance for drug use on campus.
Seems like there's a growing trend between more drug use, less drinking among younger people. Are y'all seeing that?
Well, I mean, with marijuana being in the news as much as it is, it's difficult for any adult to ignore that kids are their curiosity is gonna grow with that. And that's a big thing. We're working with a lot of parents, a lot of families, to just be real cognizant of this growing trend, which is marijuana use. And as we have those political discussions about legalization or use of medication, using THC oils and those kind of things, I think it's important for families to have those discussions at home. And, of course, we can provide the information support to them to encourage that. Just like drinking or using marijuana, even if it were legalized today, you still can't use it as a young person, and it does do harm to your body.
That's one. Does your local drug dog, does it ever find anybody just on a random day? Is it in the school? Somebody walk by it? Is it ever alert?
Yeah, we've had several alerts over the last couple of years that we've had the dog at the school, and it's been a huge deterrent. I mean, we've been told point blank, most people know not to bring anything there because there's a dog there and you're an idiot if you bring it. So, which is great because that really feeds into the safe and secure learning environment for students, which is really the goal there. That the school is a safe place. We talk about a lot of safe places, and the school as a whole is a safe place for our students in Pickens County. We want to make sure that happens for them.
And that's also one of the reasons that we want to make sure the kids that are leaving campus have the authority to leave campus and not go somewhere else and then come back with things they shouldn't have or shouldn't have done.
Mm-hmm. In light of that, your guardhouse comment, there were people instead of coming onto campus that shouldn't be there. I'm just curious, what kind of...
Well, I know that we have, at the beginning of the year, I believe it was this school year, or maybe right at the end of last school year, I know we had several students that were no longer students at Pickens High School coming back and visiting other kids. And 2 were actually arrested for being on property a couple of times. So we have people coming back to see kids, to see other kids, and some that have graduated, and some that have transferred, and some that have dropped out. So, but we just want to make sure that everybody that comes on campus has the authority to be on campus.
Gotcha.
So what is the misdemeanor charge, or do you know what the standard?
Misdemeanor marijuana possession charge.
I'm saying this in light of Atlanta City Council. I'm sure you saw that voted unanimously, of course, to decriminalize it. So
Atlanta's going to have their own lesser charge than choose not to enforce a state law. But it's at this time it's a state law, and so we follow the state standards and state law. Misdemeanor is less than a year of any time to be served, and then the fine amount, I believe, on misdemeanor can't exceed $1,000 for that particular charge. So it's a lot of that's up to a judge once it goes before a judge as to at what extent is that going to be done. One of the other messages, I think that this is one that has spawned the search and some of the other things in the conversations have kind of spawned from some of the off-campus activity that either detectives or agents with the task force have been involved in, and so those conversations of where things are going and what's going on and what the rumors are versus what the gossip is. And so by coming in and having the search take place, it kind of helps to ignore acting off of gossip or acting off of rumors or acting off of something that somebody's family or outside of the school may have done, but it actually puts, okay, what was there this day? And so we're able to kind of see more in line with that and alleviate whether we're acting off of gossip. I think for every parent of a student, myself included, and I know there's several others that are parents here, we hear the stories and but you really don't know, what's gossip and he said, she said, and the more you're around students, the more you're able to kind of gather and try to rule those out. So when you do hear of widespread use or anything like that, there's a lot of times that's just stories that got blown up, and this is a way we can kind of try to narrow that down much better. And I think the school did an excellent job this year of on both ends of not letting the information get out to students beforehand that this was going to take place. I think that in the past there have been times where somehow information was spread a little bit more widely than it should have, and students may have known that the dogs were coming before anybody pulled up to the school. And so I think that everybody involved did a great job. This faculty, the administration at the school, and employees of the sheriff's office as well, of keeping that under their own belt until they got there to the school, which made it much safer.
And I would like to stress one more time, we have a safe school campus, and we just want to alleviate any rumors or anything people might think that's about being unsafe. This is a safe campus. We just want to make sure we keep it a safe campus.
I'd like to add one thing. One concern that I always hear from parents is just the fact that their students may not have the opportunity, and they hope their students don't have the opportunity to be exposed anywhere else. And we have 1,400 students there. Out of this number of students, there are students that do have more ability to be exposed than others. And we feel like it's a very serious responsibility for us to ensure that the ones who don't have exposure to these drugs off campus, that school is not the place where they gain exposure. And I think that as long as we're working closely with the sheriff's office and the great relationship we have, I think things like this have to be in place randomly, multiple times a year, in order to remind students and keep driving at home. Unfortunately, we know it's going to be in our community, and we're concerned about the school. We're certainly concerned about the community as well, but our focus, for me as principal, I have to be concerned about my school first, and then the sheriff's department, they're handling it outside of there, and they do a great job. We've got to work closely with those guys today. They're 100% professional, thorough, great collaboration with those guys today. But that's what I hear from parents in the community a lot. They want to ensure that we're doing all that we can to keep it off, because they don't want that to be the place that their students are exposed. Same things with other policies we have in place, whether it be drugs, alcohol, weapons. They don't want their students exposed there. They don't want to get them hooked or get them entrenched into some kind of lifestyle because they got exposed to it on our campus, and that's a big deal to us. And this today helps us keep that in check and make sure that that's not happening.
Anything else?
Sounds good.
Well, thank y'all very much. Appreciate it.